in my time here, I've done everything I can to fill up my schedule. Right now I work 30 hours a week, not including my Chamberlain duties, as well as taking a full course load. So I believe to some extent, I don't know what junior year is like yet, but I have done my best to prepare myself for those challenges. And should I win student body president, I'm prepared to take off about 20 of those hours. So I'd only be working 10 hours a week in addition to my student body president responsibilities. So I feel like, and then the increased workload at school and things like that you mentioned will hopefully fall into place a little bit better. And I think that time management and that kind of skill is one of my strengths. So I hope that should I win, that the challenge will be hopefully easy enough to manage.
So I'm not on the leadership team for any student org right now, but I do regularly go to Refuge. I've been part of DALA a few times. I've only been a few times, but it was really good time to just eat with people and talk. And I have a lot of friends who are on exec teams, who are presidents of different student orgs. You know, I could probably name basically every single student org on campus. I have a friend who's either within the exec team or the president of it or something of that sort. But that's, for me, I think the weakest part of where I lie as a student body president, that I haven't been a part of an exec team. So no matter how many friends I have, no matter how many people I talk to, I haven't had the real experience of being on a student org. So for me, it's relying on my director of student orgs, actually letting that person do his or her job, and enabling and encouraging that person by just saying, hey, you know this better than I do. I need to learn, so teach me. Like, actually tell me. So what I've been doing is I met with you guys, your editor-in-chief, to talk about this exact issue of what are student orgs at King's. How do we go about improving our student orgs and improving our communication to student orgs. I just met recently with Victoria Bevel, the president of Refuge, talked about the exact same thing, and I hope to meet with more student org presidents before this election cycle is over, and especially afterward if I were to win. I think that kind of the consensus is that I'm hearing from student org presidents is the next step is training, that they aren't getting trained properly. In fact, they're not really getting trained at all for the most part, and that the council for the last however many years has talked about trying to get more representation for student orgs. I think with the student org committee, they've actually, the last couple of years, we've done a pretty great job of allowing student orgs to have a larger voice on the council and to feel more represented. But I think the next thing is actually for our student development team to put more time and energy into not only just houses, but also student orgs. And so for me, that's the next step, and I would hope that even by the coming statesmanship, we could have somehow instituted a thing where we do 1 day or 3 days, and we have just org presidents come, we create a curriculum of some kind for them at statesmanship, and we actually show that we care about our student orgs and we care about training them, preparing them for the year to come. And so for me, that's kind of what that would look like, and it just looks like listening to the current orgs, listening to their concerns and trying to find real solutions, and something that is a solution I think and that we need is training.
So the biggest problem that I've heard in regards to the honor code has been that it aspires to encourage a culture of almost Christian-esque self-help, where one identifies what one's struggling with and then works to improve themselves. And in practice, the way that this works is often people are encouraged to hide what they're doing rather than be open and talk about it. What I aspire to do is create this culture of respect that I've been talking about, and really facilitate an environment where people are more open about what they're struggling with, and people are able to, by working together, by admitting, hey, all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of Christ, we can work together to better one another as brothers and sisters in the faith. And even people who aren't Christians work to better themselves.
Yes. Well, and that is true. I've never been on Statesmanship in the House Exec team, but for 2 years I've served as House Associate. My freshman year I co-founded and served as Vice President for the table, and part of that was when we were trying to become a student org, I had to present and talk in front of the council. And then I also I'm currently serving on the exec team for Refuge, and I've also led an initiative through my house called King's Tutor. And then also a few years last year I worked closely with the council to lead a school initiative like the spring football game, in which I had to work close with the director of student orgs. And I've also been very close I've sat in on multiple council meetings. And so I think there's various opportunities within the student body in leadership that's SBP qualifying leadership. I don't necessarily think that you have to be, I don't think working in House Exec necessitates or is necessary for you to be a good SBP candidate. I definitely think knowing the student body, knowing the different orgs, different leadership opportunities, and having the communication with the administration are vital to being an SVP, and all those things I have done in my 3 years at this school. And so I don't think that my lack of experience in the House Exec has hindered me from being able and qualified for an SVP.
I think when people hear that highlight video idea, oftentimes as King students and as people, we have this idea of, okay, so it's going to be this media lab production where they're going to sit down and interview and go through what's happening at the school that week. And I want to be really clear, that is not what I envision. I think this is something far more practical. The purpose of the video is to connect and to inform. It's not to have it be a beautiful production every week of what the council meetings have been like. I envision something more vlog style so it would be filmed just on the phone, just with individuals, maybe around 30 seconds. So a recent council meeting I went to, the International Justice Mission org was approved. So it would be something like, hey guys, today at the council meeting, the International Justice Mission org was approved. These are the people who are on the org. We also discussed the budget for spring retreats that are coming up for various houses, and those were approved. And upcoming, we have the SPP debates and various things that are going on. If you guys want to come to those, find more practical information about it on the King's Weekly if that's something you're interested in. So it'd be something like that. Very simple, very clear, saying these are the things that happened, just so that you're informed. If you want more details regarding those things, here's where you can find that information. So that every student, it's not watching minutes of what's going on, but just the bullet points, so that if they're interested in those particular things mentioned, they can go to them and find the information regarding them.